to SkoCity PodCast. I'm your host, BTA GodSon. Been through it all, know a little bit about something. Today, we're going to be talking about spirituality versus religion. So this is my season 2, episode 2 show, and got some great people here today that should be a good podcast. So I'll go ahead and let them talk a little bit about themselves, introduce themselves, starting with my guest here on my left.
My name is Lawrence Steward. I am a letter carrier for the United States Postal Service, also union advocate, branch president. I also am Irv's mailman. Known him for a little bit and, seen him throughout the neighborhood, and we've gotten to know each other a bit better through personal relationships recently. But always notice Irv's ever-changing flags out front. And he keeps me on my toes, make sure, it's only the right mail going to his address. But glad to be here today.
Thank you for showing up, Lawrence. We appreciate you, man.
Nice. I'm Shakara Danye. I met Irvin, or GodSon, through our training in DCFS and our job in Rockford. So we have been learning about each other in the workplace and our division of child protection. So that is what I do, child protection, and just living life. Life is fly by the seat sometimes. So I am going with the flow of everything, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for being here, Kara. So I spend my life reading people, getting to know people. It's very important to me to make connections all the time. And that kind of is a little bit about what our show is about, too, about making connections. Because when you're in, spirituality is all about making connections, Mm-hmm. There's a term that they use. They're called those people who can, sense when you're up, when you're down. What do they call those people? There's a name for them. I forgot what they call them.
Empaths.
Empaths. There you go. Yeah. So when I met Lawrence, I read people and I said to myself, oh, this guy's kind of unique because he wears hats when he's out, and I love the way he carries himself all the time, and then I noticed he's into a lot of things. And he went to the thing in Chicago a couple weeks ago with Prisker there, right?
Yes.
I thought that was awesome, man. So I kind of picked up on that right away, that vibe. And then my friend here at the end, Kara, I nicknamed her Quiet Storm because she is so quiet, but she's like the ocean. She is so deep at the same time. So if you just look at her, you go, oh, okay, that's just a quiet person over there. But oh my gosh, she has a lot to say. And she also has done her own YouTube stuff, and she has products too as well that she markets. Tell us a little bit about that market stuff you got there.
So, like I said, I am fly by the seat type of person. So when 2020 happened, a lot of people were starting businesses of their own. And so that was new to me because I've always said when I went to college, business just wasn't my thing. And so that did not occur to me that I would start my own business. So 2020 was the start of everything. Going into that, starting my own business and flowing with that. So this is a homemade Florida water, which is very good for cleansing the energy, cleansing your spaces and homes. And this is an abundance oil. And like I said, I just go with the flow of things. So sometimes I promote it and say, yeah, this is what I'm doing. And then sometimes it's just, if I know it's for you, very spiritually in tune, so I'll just be like, here, you can have this.
So I think that was one of the things that I kind of, because I actually purchased the blessed oil for the what do you call that again?
The abundance oil.
The abundance oil, yeah. So I did actually purchase that because her energy was so powerful to me. And I said to myself, there's got to be something to this. This is not just some snake oil salesman. There's energy behind this. And so I'm looking to become very rich soon.
Absolutely, yes.
And so Lawrence, I know he didn't want to talk about it, but I know you got a little side thing where you make T-shirts and stuff like that. You just did a large order, didn't you? Or
Yes, I just finished one for breast cancer awareness. We've all been touched by somebody with some form of cancer, but essentially breast cancer, and I know Berta had, and so just making orders, mostly people that I know. I do things like for family reunions or just the post office, because our uniform allowance is putrid and it's capitalism at its finest. And so there's a lot of things that people need to purchase but don't have $50 to buy a pair of socks or $180 for a rain jacket. So I kind of meet them in the middle to do that. And then things like this, it's trying times. And so what I try to do, and, this is a perfect format to talk about it, is being a hope dealer, always giving people hope, because we're in some trying times, and it's very important to tap into people's spiritual health as well as their mental health, and them being tied together. So I wouldn't say I'm a positive person. I'm a realist, but in every way, shape, or form, no matter how dark the night, there's always light coming in the morning. So you try to give people hope no matter where they are in their current state.
And I think that's one of the great things about I say spirituality, because it has different flavors. We're all not the same. We all bring something different into that. So you bring hope. She brings a ray of sunshine. I bring a ray of foolishness. But together we create this vibe, right? This genre of happiness wherever we go. And believe it or not, people, I call them sometimes energy vampires, because they can actually sense that energy that's good in you, and they'll latch on to you, and they want to drain that energy from you. And so I've learned in my life to just, hey, if I don't like your energy, I'm not hanging around. I'm just going. I'm out of there. So at this time, Cara, let's start with Cara. What in your life most encourages you with your faith right now?
Being present. That is a steady message every day for me, is to just be present, especially when things go wrong. As simple as your technology going wrong. That reminds me, okay, what I need to be paying attention to right now in this moment, because a lot of the times I go forward in the future or reflecting upon the past, and I get stuck there sometimes. So I have to remind myself to come back to the present. So it helps me a lot with staying grounded in where I am. A good saying that I just learned recently is be where your feet are.
Oh, wow. I like
And
that.
so that means to just be present and enjoy the moment.
Okay. What about you, Lawrence?
As far as the positivity, like I said, I'm a realist, so I like genuine connection. And as you talked about energy vampires, there are people who like to latch on to people with good energy because they don't have it within themselves. Like, they can fake it, but it's not genuine. And so they like to latch on to people who do give good energy and are genuine, because that's not something they're used to in their life. But I also understand, positive, negative energy, good and bad, but I would prefer genuineness. So if you're just a genuine asshole, I would prefer that over a fake one.
Be honest,
Yeah.
right?
And
I
so
agree.
right now there's not a lot of people who are faking their assholeness. They're being real proud about their bigotry or their racism, xenophobia, whatever. So I like to look at it as a reality check. So going forward, no, this is where you were 10 toes down here on that. And so when things start to change and we get back to actual positivity and helping I remember where you stood and what you were about, because that is the positive I see in all the negativity going around, is people are getting very comfortable standing for things that before they were ashamed of, and now they feel very proud to say those. So, taking notes, keeping records of this is who you really are. And so when the environment changes and you no longer feel comfortable being that person, no, I know who you actually are. So it's a good way to be able to evaluate relationships and friendships and personality and energy vampires, as far as, nope, I clocked that one right. I was correct about that one.
Yeah.
I felt something off, but I couldn't really place it, and now you're putting it on display. So with all the negativity, I just find the positive part is, no, now I can see you.
Yeah. So the one thing that in my faith today, I think that encourages me, I've learned to be grateful for any and everything. Don't care for the good and for the bad.
Yeah.
I call myself BTA, been through it all, and I feel like I have. And I've learned that through all my ups and downs, you have to look for something in that to be grateful, because all truth to me is parallel. All truth is parallel. If something's happened in the natural world, there's got to be something going on in the spiritual world. And so when you understand that, you can look at all the negative stuff and yet find something to be grateful for. And that's going to give you that strength. That's going to give you that energy. That is going to give you the fortitude to go through, to push through. And even though you may be concerned, you're yet grateful. Even like I said, I had people, I had one lady just out flat lie on me, right? And it was a horrible lie too. And I said to myself, how can I be grateful about you lying on me, right? And then my own mind said, well, you didn't have to be here for her to lie on you. You could have been dead. And they couldn't have lied on you, right? So would you rather be here to get lied on, or not be here? So oh my God, so I'm grateful that I was here. And you thought so much of me to do that, right? So I think if we focus on those things that we go through, learn to be grateful, learn to be thankful, it'll just give us that push to push us forward, I think, And then we all have like a story, right? From our childhood growing up, the things we go through, And those kind of experiences kind of is what shape us and push us into the, whoever we decide to become, So what are some kind of things that maybe shaped you going through life and that brought you to who and where you are today?
Okay. I definitely agree that childhood is the root cause of a lot of the things that we're dealing with right now as adults and throughout life at whatever age you are. So what shaped me as a child, or just from my childhood, is just knowing that people are human, and so they're going to make mistakes. And so as I came into this healing journey and spirituality, I had to learn how to forgive what my parents or peers did not do and did do to help me or traumatize me. So just realizing that we're all here having a human experience as spirits, and being forgiven and being open to change, and just molding yourself to be something different, and being who you are called to be in this life.
So from the time, that you were going through those experiences and now, has your view about God changed at all, or has that remained the same, or?
Yeah, like I told you when we had that conversation, that I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual. I'm more in connection with myself and higher self. So religion is definitely different. Like, I see God as an energy within all of us. And a lot of people may not see it that way because it was taught to us to be on the outside, that, oh, we got to go on the outside of us to get what we need, but really we already have everything we need inside of us. And so being open to that, you'll just quite naturally think of God differently
You'll
after
grow as you go on. You know, the Bible does say that the kingdom of heaven is within, and I think that's one of the greatest sayings that could ever been said. That,
that. Yes.
you know, I look at God, and I really don't like to use the term God. It's too generic. So I developed even a more generic term, the universe. So I always say, if the universe blesses me, because I believe I am connected to the universe. That's how my spirituality has grown. That's how my belief in God has changed. You know, growing up in a Christian home, I think we all did, or at least people said they were Christians. You know, and we saw the contradictions. It was like, wait a minute, you said you was a Christian, but
You acting like that, yeah.
yeah,
It
so
don't
the two don't,
correlate.
you know.
Yeah.
And then we go to church, you know, and you've all heard the stories about the preachers chasing all the women, and I found out that it's the women actually chasing the preachers
Yeah.
in most cases. But you know, so you get this different story, you know. You tell you one thing, but you see something different.
Right.
And then you begin to realize, wait a minute. For me, I'll tell you what really changed me and what really started me going on a more spiritual path than a religious path. I couldn't get past the idea of people dying and going to hell and suffering for all eternity at the hands of a loving God. To me, that made no sense. And I preached it for a while too. You know, I was quick to tell you, girl, if you don't get yourself together, you're going to hell, you're going to die, you're going to burn, you know. But I started thinking about it. Wait a minute. I have kids. I love my kids, right? I don't care what they do. Well, I care what they do, but I'm not going to sentence them to an eternal punishment because of what they did. So if God is greater than me and God loves us more than I can love my kid, then why in the world would a loving God send me some thought? I said, wait a minute. And then I began to research this whole ideology of hell and where it all came from. And it came as a fear tool to scare people into following a religious pattern. And once you got hooked into that pattern, guess what it did? It divided you. It divided people.
Yep.
Because now you got and it's probably way out there. But
This and that side is what
you
I
got
call
the Republicans and the Is that a religion? By we could call it one because
political.
what people are saying, MAGA's a cult now. So that's religious, right? But religion did that. Religion divides us, where I think spirituality brings us together. You know, gives us that common ground, and that's the one thing about it. In Africa, you know, our history is we never used the term religion. It was always a spiritual technology or spiritual cultivation. It's what we always used. And there was always this connection to the universe, to our ancestors, to those that were on the other side, to those that were on this side. There was the rites of passage. That was a spiritual
Initiation.
connection, initiation. It wasn't just a ceremony, but it had meaning, and it connected you to those that had gone on before you, and it made you also a part of what was going on right now. You know what I mean? So, Lawrence, you know, how's your journey been with this thing? What do you see?
So I was raised uber religious. My mom was raised Catholic. My dad was raised Baptist. Mom's from East Coast, New York, Delaware. Dad, Memphis, Tennessee. And they met, and sometime shortly after that, they became Pentecostal. And so my entire life has been them raising us in Pentecost. And my dad wanted to go to California because that was the preeminent Bible college on the West Coast. Moved to Rockford because somebody he had met at Bible college wanted to be a minister in Australia. So my dad was going to take over. So I've been raised super, super strict. They brought me up to take over the church, be a minister, Sunday school, all of that. Just raised to do all of that. But I never felt like I belonged. I always felt a little out of place, a little bit of, okay, I can see the good, I can see the bad, I can see how things can be misinterpreted, but where's where I fit in? And because I am a genuine person, people generally get attracted to me. And so it came to a point to where there was some conflict in how I believe things should be done, just to be consistent and non-hypocritical and upfront, and then how my dad was seeing things should go. And so my interpretation at like around 22 was, don't have the conflict, I'll just leave. Because when these children start to ask me, well, what do you think? Or I'm not going to parrot what I'm supposed to say. I'm going to say what I believe. And that is true to me. So in order to stay true to myself, I can't stay here because that's just going to cause a division. And it caused a conflict. My parents were, very hurt for a while. I then became part of a more apostolic church, saw a lot more outgoingness to it, because where I came from initially, it was more us for no more. It was more, we got the truth and everybody else is going to hell if you don't follow this exactly how we want it to be done. So going to the apostolic church was more inclusive, not just to other denominations, but other beliefs, doing community service. Mm-hmm. And so that opened up a whole different side. But then I still felt a little bit out of place because of personal relationships I had with people, and the whole thing of what the Bible says is good for you, as far as me preaching to you, telling you what to do, but I'll use it to excuse me because God ain't done working with me yet. And it's like, that doesn't jive. Like, you can't be so judgmental to everybody else, but give yourself so much license to just continue to be the way you are. Mm-hmm. And that's where my biggest source of conflict came, to where I then transitioned into more spirituality, because, as you said, you research to defend your position, defend your faith, you defend why you do the things the way that you do. And in that, I started to see that there's a difference between more so Eastern and Western religion. Like you said, Western religion, American religion, it's, I'm looking for God to help me do better, be better, instead of, I need to work on me being better to be a positive source of joy and hopefulness to others, not teach them how wrong they are. You're going to split hell wide open because you're not doing things the way I believe they are. But I'm covered by the blood because I believe in God, so I have license to continue to act a fool. Yeah. And so my bigger picture thinking was, religion, spirituality should all be about forcing me to be a better person so I can help you, not the other way around, telling you what you should do and why I should be allowed to continue to be a fool.
And I think that one of the biggest differences between religion and spirituality is religion thinks for you. Mm-hmm. Spirituality allows you to think for yourself. Mm-hmm. Martin King said something, he said that, and I thought it was a great thing. He said that prayer is a wonderful thing. It's a powerful thing. It's a marvelous thing. Mm-hmm. But if you think that God only wanted you to use prayer and not your brain, then you're sadly mistaken. It's the biggest mistake you can make. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people make that mistake of not using their brain when it comes to religion. And then they get used. Mm-hmm. And then when you get used, you come back and you turn into this bitter person, and I mean, you just shot to hell at that point, nothing, doesn't make sense anymore. And we, and I don't want to say we, I'm talking about Africans because I'm really deep into African history, okay? Mm-hmm. And so I go way back with my history to, I started practicing what was known as Ma'at. Some people call it Mayat, some people call it Ma'at. But it was our spiritual cultivation. And one of the things that we looked at, we didn't use terms like evil because we realized that people make mistakes doesn't necessarily make them evil. Mm-hmm. We use the term isfat. It means that you were making mistakes. And what we did, we went in and we tried to help you correct that mistake, not through punishment, but through modeling, through showing you, hey, here's a better way to do it. So when the foreigners came along, the conquerors came along, they took our spiritual technologies, and for example, we got the 10 Commandments out of the 40 Now they want to say 40 negative confessions. I don't see anything negative about them. There's 40. That's from the Egyptian book of the day of coming forth by day. They call it the book of the dead, but no, it's not the book of the dead. It's the book of the coming forth by day. And if you ever read that, I don't know if you ever had a chance to read that. Probably, I would say a good 60% of your Bible is directly quoted right from that book. The King of Kings, Lord of Lords comes directly out of that book. You know, so you see that spirituality, I think, is a greater force for mankind. And I think that if we all would, I don't know, find a way to tune in and kick religion out the door. Well, you tell me what you think. Kick religion out the door and let's all just become spiritual people. Is that a good idea or is that a bad idea?
I mean, we're human. We're all meant to be different. We have many different flavors, and it's meant to be like that so we can evolve.
So we should so we embrace the religions too, right?
I mean, yeah. I feel like I'm present with omni religion, like, or omni. I don't know what it's called, but I know it's omni, where you can take a little bit out of everything, and it's true. It resonates with you with every religion, with everything, because spirituality is self. It's about what you feel for yourself and how you operate in this world with it. And a lot of the times people just like to project, and they may not even know that they're projecting their judgment, their fears, their distaste for anything that you are doing in your life. And so with religion, it's more control. Spirituality is free, and you're free to do what you please, as you please, to follow your heart, to be able to say, you know, today I feel good about this, and then you can change your mind and say, yeah, that was yesterday.
Right.
Today I'm on to something new.
Religion,
religion, it doesn't leave real room for that.
Right.
No, it's this, it's Jesus, it's God all throughout, and you can't change your mind about that, because then it's hell, then it's punishment, then it's judgment. So
so in the Bible, the Apostle Paul would use terms like, he says, I beat myself daily to bring my flesh under subjection. What he literally meant was he was taking a whip and he was whipping himself, you know, so he didn't commit sin.
Yeah, and with the Bible, I believe that you should decode it. Like, the Bible is not to be taken literal. It's really, you have to dig deeper into it, and it's a lot of people like surface level things. They don't dig deep.
Yeah.
They don't even dig deep into themselves because they don't know how. So it's not a jab at them. It's just
No.
they take it literal. Like, oh, the
I
Bible
think it's
said
that
this.
you know, it's that word we hear, hell, and then we get afraid. You know,
Yeah,
you're gonna burn forever.
and
then
really, really, we're already living in hell. It's a mind state.
And right, because you can actually put your own self in hell,
Exactly.
and not really be in hell, but because your mind, your way you think.
Right.
You know,
it's the perspective.
You could, you know, it's called overthinking. You can torture yourself. Oh my God, I got to go to work tomorrow, and I'm probably gonna blah blah. You know, and you're overthinking. That's a sense of hell to me.
Right.
I mean, would you agree with that sense of, you know, if you overthink?
It's a lot of that. It's when you look at, you know, when they brought us over illegal immigration style, and you know the
So wait. He just said illegal. So what? We're not immigrants, man? No, I'm kidding.
But
I like that, illegal immigrants.
I mean, that's how we all got over here, unless you're Native American, and
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
locked up in camps for the most part.
Yeah.
But it was the whole mentality of taking us out of where we came from, our ancestors, and putting on their spin. So it became as you would say, hell on earth. Well, you go through hell on earth and you hope for a heaven afterwards, so I can live in my heaven now by abusing you. That was the cultural exchange that we were given. And I don't think all religion is bad. It's sort of like the military, right? Like there's some people actually have to have structure. Some people cannot survive on thinking for themselves and being in tune themselves. They have to have some sort of a structure, but it's too much of anything will kill you. Water is the
Right.
most valuable source, but you can drown in it. You can drink too much of it. Like there's a limit to everything. So I believe, just like with the military, in order to create discipline in you and to make you sort of be accountable, there is structure that is needed. But on the other side of that, you have to be able to think for yourself. As my dad used to always say, use your head for more than a do-rag holder. Learn to think. But with that, we have to get out of thinking we should be controlling other people and their decisions. There can be structure, but when I sit there and I'm trying to tell you how you should live your life to be happy, now we're getting into that hell on earth phase where I'm denying who I am, and what I'm meant to be to fit your cookie cutter culture. And that's where the real harm is, I'm a live and let live person.
Right.
If how you're living your life isn't hurting anyone else, go for it. If you need that structure of a religion to make you not be an addict on the street, by all means, go for it. But don't then come and tell the person who is capable of thinking for himself, being a good person, good to his fellow human people, and no, you got to fit inside this box.
Right.
That's where the harm is. And it's like my pastor used to say, is the most segregated time on the planet is Sunday morning, because everybody's going into their little box and then demonizing you for thinking the way you are and being a part of that clique and that whatever, this, that, and the other. And I think if we could ever get to the place where we allow people who need the structure of religion to be, but those people don't demonize those who don't, we'd be in a much better place overall. And I just think the way it's set up right now, it attracts, in my personal opinion, narcissism. Because
definitely.
it gives me a superiority complex on, look what I'm following and you're not.
Right.
Look, I know something you don't. I have something you don't have. And because that, I can do whatever I want and I'm still saved. But because you don't go to such and such at 10 a.m. every service and read so many times a day, you're going to split hell wide open, and that makes me better than you. That's the most harmful part of religion, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was one of the things also made me walk Christianity back, was the idea that there's a chosen people. I couldn't grasp it. Why would God choose just one race of people?
140,000 with
Out of
Jehovah.
What, 22, 48 billion people? I don't know how many people's on the planet.
8 billion people.
But God's going to choose just a few people? That didn't make any sense to me. So then I knew that was a mechanism of control. That was a tactic that the colonizers was using to subdue my mind. So I would want to desperately be one of those that made it in.
What can I do to fit in?
Yeah. So if that meant I'm poor, I'd accept being poor, and I'll sing songs about it. I'll never strive to go outside of my little comfort zone for fear that I may be punished. So I think that was something that made me walk the whole thing back, because I can't see God choosing just a few people. I think God has chosen all of us. If you want to use the word God, we're all chosen. Because like you said, we're all interconnected, and spirituality brings that to us. And I want to tell you guys about, I don't know if you guys read a lot, but you probably do. I shouldn't say, I don't know. But there's a book I got at home. It's called The Me Too Nature. You guys have heard of that, The Me Too Nature?
No.
You guys get a copy of that. I've got it pulled up here, and I'll show you what it looks like. This is The Me Too Nature right here.
Okay.
So it's a book, and it's 2 volumes. But you said, I think, when you talked about Western religion or Western thought versus Eastern thought, right? Well, the Me Too Nature kind of breaks that down in that, and it talks about how the Western philosophy and line of thought is so, I want to use the term, so, I don't want to say ritualistic, but it's more rigid and coded. Whereas and then in the Eastern thought, it's more free flowing. It's more everything that's going on there has a serious purpose, and it's tied to everything down to your very cells in your body. You know, all that's connected spiritually.
Yeah.
And so, if you get a chance, order this book. Now, I'm gonna tell you something though. This book is hard to read because this dude is deep.
Harder than Leviticus?
Oh yeah, because it makes more sense to Leviticus. So. No, this guy, I mean, but he talks about the right half of the brain, the left of the brain, you know, and he breaks it down in a spiritual sense, though, so you can understand it, you know. And so if you get a chance, it's Me Too Netcher, if you remind me, guys, everybody out there, get a copy of this book. I've been reading it for the last 10 years, and I haven't gotten through with it yet because I have to keep going back and rereading it because it also talks about the higher nature, the lower nature, you know, and how to overcome, you know. I guess what Paul was beating himself about every day, right? How do you overcome those things? Well, use common sense first of all, right? Dumb dog don't kiss a hot stove twice. So I ain't got to do something over and over again to realize that it's wrong, right? They say experience is the best teacher. It's also the most expensive, right? If you want to pay that price for being, you know, callous, then you go ahead. But I choose not to. And that's what spirituality has brought to me. It's giving me that sense to say, look before you leap. Understand that Lawrence has feelings, Car has feelings. I just can't tread on that, you know. I mean, Car could come into work one day and be in the worst mood in the world. I can sense that, you know. But that doesn't give me any power over to you know, come there and say, you know, and rub it in, you know. Some people take that, well, religion does that. You know, girl, you know why you going through that, right? Because the sin you in. If you stop sinning, you won't be going, you know,
title it, yeah.
Judging, right? That's a bunch of bull. Come on, man. So get a copy of Me Too Netcher. It's spiritual cultivation of Kemet, and it's deep. It is deep, and that's one of the things that I kind of focus on now in my spiritual journey. So in your spiritual journey, I mean, what really connects you to, I don't know if you want to call it God, or, and we're going to wrap it up here real soon, but real quickly, what connects you to that force of that energy? What's your source of connection?
For me, water.
Water.
Yeah, I take meditation showers, or I like to take trips to the ocean and just be one with water. And just remind myself to flow with the element. I do a lot of different things to keep me connected and to ground my energy, because as a I don't like titles a lot, but as an empath, or a person that can read people and their energy, and I had to learn how to protect myself from absorbing other people's energy and things of that nature. So water is an element that can cleanse and purify and help spiritually and physically. So that's what's been helping me stay grounded in that.
In Mao Zedong's book, The Art of Warfare, he uses water. And he says that we should be like water.
Yes, and
Because
flow.
it says water is indestructible. If you heat it up to 112 degrees, it escapes as steam. If you freeze it, it becomes strong enough to sink the Titanic. So water becomes indestructible, and that's why I call you Quiet Storm, by the way. Because you look at the ocean, and it's, oh man, that ocean's so beautiful, and that water looks so calm, but you don't know how deep it is.
Yeah.
And he said you should always be like that when people see you. See that calmness about you.
Yeah.
And they'll never know how deep you are, though. And so I kind of like that you use water as your connection. You know, that's a good thing, man. And I'm a water sign, I guess.
Yes.
Well, isn't Cancer's water sign?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. So I'm going to start using water as my, but I use meditation. You know, I do my mantras. I really do. I've got a few of them that I do repeatedly. And what I've found is that when I do my mantras, they open up new doors for me. They really do. They do take away that unexpected or issue that's going on. It changes things for me.
Right.
I was having an issue, you know, with people that I didn't want to be around anymore, right? And so I began to do my mantra, and lo and behold, I'm on Kara's team now.
Yeah.
So that was a good. So no, but that's seriously. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, there it's an ancient mantra that brings new beginnings. So when I want things to change in my life, I would look for new beginnings. And so I use my mantras to connect me, my meditation. I believe in vibrations, sound. You may find me at night listening to vibratory music to sleep to, because I believe that we all are vibing. And if we can tune into the vibe of the universe, that's where our strength and our tranquility comes from.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It's not one thing, it's a bunch of things. I'm
Yes, for
been
sure.
antisocial before the pandemic. I like to stay to myself. But what you, in biblical terms, I would tell you, fight the flesh. And that's the way to become more one with God. And, to a certain extent, that's true. Anything worth having takes work. So to be happy, you have to work to be happy. Nobody's just happy all the time naturally. Everybody has good days and bad days, and there are habits and perspectives and learning that can force you to be happy. Like, we're selfish by nature because that's how we survived. It's fight or flight. It's, am I going to stay here and get eaten by a tiger to save you, or am I going to survive? Selfishness basically went through the bloodline of that's how you continue to live.
I think, but I don't know if that holds true for everybody though, because I would be that guy that would stay there and get eaten by the tiger to make sure you didn't.
And you
That's
wouldn't
just the
be
way-
here 400 years ago.
I probably wouldn't have been, but
that's
that's just who I am.
yeah,
you know?
and I'm the same. So it's
But I didn't have to be that way.
no,
I don't know who made me that way, but I'm not complaining though. I'm grateful that I am that way.
and it's the understanding and emphasizing with other people as to understand if you are a selfish person, that's not your fault. That sort of just came down through your DNA.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I got to where I am as far as my union activism because I'll throw myself out in front of anybody at any time. I'll take the heat. I can take it. I can figure out how to move. Other people cannot, but I can't demonize them because they are that way.
Right.
That's how they're surviving.
Right.
Because there are people like us who will stand in the gap for other people, but that's not the trait that led us to survive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there's
Yes,
a
yes.
understanding.
Yeah.
And I say it all the time. Everybody can't be like me because if we are, our survival would probably be limited because everybody can't be I'll sacrifice myself. Somebody has to be a little bit like, you know what? We're going to run away and let that fool
Yeah.
fight everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And hopefully he survives, which is my case so far. I have.
Right,
But
yeah.
that's not the trait that got us to where we are. So it's understanding we're all here for a reason, for a purpose, and understanding that purpose. So I listen to music from all genres. It's classical because, as you said, sounds, vibrations, that's what they sent out into space to connect to other whatevers that are out there is sounds. So I do that, but as much as I'm antisocial, I also know there's value in connection and
Yeah.
seeing growth in other people. As far as my union job and activism, that's where I get my strength from, is being able to see the growth and the appreciation on some levels of I saved your job or I gave you some information to help yourself or whatever it may be. And then breathing, I do a lot of different breathing techniques, whether that's breathing to wake myself up, breathing to calm myself down, just deep breaths throughout the day. So it's a lot of little things that I do, but I have to work for all of them. None of them are just what's natural or easy. All of these things I do to replenish myself is something I have to make conscious choices and efforts to do. And that's the biggest thing is mindfulness, just understanding if I'm going to be the most value to myself and others, I have to sit down and take whatever it is, whether it's music, whether that's breathing, whether that's, I don't really want to be bothered, but if I have this conversation with so-and-so and I see that light get turned back on, that's going to help me, even though I don't want to be bothered. I really don't.
Yeah.
But that's not what brings us together. That's not what makes us better. So it's really just mindfulness and knowing this time I need this whether I want to do it or not. At this time I need to do this whether I want to or not. It's just trying to always better myself and understanding it takes work and there are multiple ways to get it done.
I agree. So let's move real quickly, and I know we're running out of time here. Over into another different area because you said something that sparked this in my mind. Dreams. Do you guys have dreams? Because like last night, I had this dream, and I clearly heard the message to me was, take care of self, and then everyone else. Mm-hmm. And what it was telling me was that if I'm not fit, then I'm no good for anybody else. So it's telling me to take care of self, and then everyone else. Does things like that happen to you guys? You guys have visions or dreams like that sometimes? Because I'm a very spiritual person, so talk about it. What happens when do you get those premonitions or visions in your dream? And
Yeah, I get prophetic dreams. I get dreams for specific people. I get dreams for myself. So it's very message riddled. I've always loved dreams. I remember in high school I did a speech on dreams and researching about it, and that was very surface level because again it was in high school. But I've always been intrigued by dreams. Like we can be in another dimension and different things happen, and then you wake up and it's just like, what was that?
You think is that the universe way of getting in touch with us when there's a message that need to be given?
Yes.
Because I've had some. I mean, when I talk about dreams, I mean I've seen things that I've dreamed, and it's almost like a warning that this was going.
Pass.
Yeah.
That's a prophetic or a vision.
Yeah. So I was able to avoid that disaster because I saw it,
And you took heed. Yeah.
And I took heed because sometimes you get a dream so forceful, you wake up out of that dream like, wow, what in the world was that?
You wake up crying.
Yeah,
emotional,
nervous.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where that's coming from, what did you do? Who could it be? Because sometimes when I have these dreams, it's somebody else that I see, but it's not them. It's actually a different person, though, right?
Right. You recognize the energy.
Yeah, the energy. So I wake up trying to figure out now. And I go all through my life, all through my contacts. Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? And then sometimes I can see them, and then other times as I go throughout the day, it begins to unfold, and then I'm able to,
Yeah.
take action. Then do you ever have stuff like that going on with you?
Dreams are tricky for me because, science says everybody dreams, just don't remember them. So I'm one of those. I don't remember 99.9% of mine.
Well, that means you sleep good, though.
Oh, no, not at all.
You don't sleep good?
No.
And you don't remember your dreams?
I passed it on to both my boys. We're basic insomniacs. I don't have sleep apnea or anything like that. It's just my mind's always going.
Always going.
So dreams, I don't remember them very often. And I think if you're looking at science and spirituality, I probably dream a lot, but it's just stuff in my subconscious that plays out because I recognize patterns very well. And so I do believe there's some sort of deja vu that happens a lot of times that I'm like, I've seen this. And so I don't recall it offhand about my dreams, but they do come up in other ways where I'm like, this is a pattern. There's something going on here. And so it's got to be dreams, but for whatever reason, I can't access them just like most people do.
Well, I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse because some of the dreams I have, I wish I never had them, though.
I don't have those. On the other hand, I don't have ones I wish I forget. So that's a positive part.
That's a positive thing because I've had some really, really, and they, eventually did come true. And I've seen people in my dreams die and get hurt, and I've been able to even see in my dreams medical conditions for people, and know exactly what's wrong with them, and why don't ask me why it happens, but it just does,
Yeah.
I've had some pretty intense deja vus. I mean, really intense, When I was going into the Army, I was in the church. I was, a Christian guy then, and so we were doing this prayer stuff, and we was going to pray all night long. And I thought I was praying, but I don't know. I was in a whole different city, a whole different place. and I met this young lady, and we talked. I knew everything about her. This was, but I'm thinking maybe it was a dream, and I must have fallen asleep, right? 6 months later, I get to Indiana, and guess what? I run right into this girl. And I walked up to her and started talking. She's looking at me like, how you know me? I said, girl, I know everything about you. And I was right on time. I don't know how that happened. I didn't ask for it to happen, But things like that, really intense stuff,
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, why me? And here you is over here not even dreaming. I'm gonna start sending my dreams your way. No,
You're very gifted. That's what that means. Like,
well, what about the? And let me see how much time we got. We got 8 minutes. What about the concept of being chosen? Do you think people are chosen?
I believe they choose themselves.
You think they choose
So
themselves?
yes, it's the 144 that everybody say, oh yeah, the chosen one. But when you choose yourself, that's ultimately you're chosen. You choose to be the one to be the teacher. You choose to be the one to sacrifice and stay back with the lion and fight it. You choose to do differently and be the example. So that's how I look at it, because everybody has a gift, everybody has a purpose, and sometimes they go through life and they get mixed up in drugs and mental illness and different things that take them on a path that maybe wasn't for them, but they don't know how to get out of it now. And so you have to choose yourself to correct that or go down where you're meant to be. But wherever you are, wherever your feet are in that moment is where you're supposed to be. So who's to say that it was the wrong path for you? You were supposed to meet those people on drugs with you because you was the example, and you was the chosen one to be that person with them in the trenches, with them in the church, with them wherever you are.
So on the flip side of that, though, who lives a better life, though? Who lives a happier life? That spiritual person or that selfish person? Because let me tell you why I asked that question, though. I got to go back to another dream I had. But in this dream, I saw myself being very, very mean and being very, very evil to people. But everything I wanted was coming to me, though. I had power. I was in control of everything and everybody around me, but I was ruthless, though. But that's not my nature at all. And so I woke up and said, so you mean to tell me I've got to be this evil person to be happy? So who lives a better life? Spiritual person or the selfish person?
The person that chooses to be open. It's no such thing, in my opinion, as good or bad, evil or right, wrong. It's all about the energy of in this moment. I get analogies all the time with like explaining to me what messages I get, and the analogy of a bodyguard. A bodyguard is to protect the person, the target, from anyone doing harm to them. And so they have to be this person of power, authority, and protection. And then also, outside of security or the bodyguard, they could be the most soft, gentle teddy bear. And it's about duality. It's about a polarity of it's this way, one on this side, and then another way.
So
on
being
this side.
tough when you have to be tough,
Yeah,
but being kind when you have to be kind.
right.
And I think I can be tough when I need to be tough because I will put a person in their place, so to speak.
Right.
I will let you push me so far, and I'll tell you get off my feet because
Right.
I'm not your floor mat. I
Right.
will do that.
You gotta defend yourself. You have to be able to speak up at the right moment. It's a
At the
place
right
and a
moment.
time for everything,
Yeah.
and that's in the Bible as well.
Right.
It's a time to cry. It's a time to be happy. So when you choose these things, you give that authority in your own life to say, I give myself permission to be happy and to live a good life. I give myself the choice to be selfish, and you don't know my life, so you don't
Yeah.
know what it got to this point. I was selfless and being ran over and all of these things, being selfless and sacrificing, and with that analogy of you have to save yourself or help yourself first, and then you go back and help. people have to be willing to reach.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to reach, then you got to keep on going up because.
And I think when I had that dream, I remember I did go to bed feeling used by people, feeling that I'm always giving and giving and giving and giving, but there's never anything given back to me. I remember feeling that way.
Right.
So that just could have been something in my subconscious, huh? Not really a spiritual thing.
It's a sign. No, everything is a sign.
Everything.
With the dreams, it was telling you. It doesn't
I'm not,
necessarily.
but I rejected the concept. I'm not going to be turning to this person, no, because that's not who I am, and I can't.
Yeah, and it's been factual. You talk to psychologists, psychiatrists, people. The richest people in the world are generally the most miserable, but they felt like they had to be this person because the world doesn't need you to be a billionaire. That's just not true.
Yeah.
And you're miserable because now you want to be the next trillionaire. So you haven't found contentment where you are.
Right.
I think the happiest people are the people who find their purpose and value in where they are and who they are. So if you're a leader and that's what you were chosen to do, then lead. But there is 100% the same amount of value in being a follower, because I've always said I'm the best number 2 anybody could ever need, because I'll take the heat both for the number 1 and the people following. But leaders are with no value if nobody's following. You can be the best tactician on the world, but if you don't have a bunch of soldiers behind you, who cares? You're not going to be effective. So everybody has to find their value in who they are and who they are meant to be. Not everybody needs to be a leader. Right. Not everybody needs to be a follower. Not everybody needs structure and confinement. Some people do. But find out your skills and your talent, and that doesn't mean you need to be a preacher. That doesn't mean you need to be an entrepreneur. Find your value in being the best you that you can be. Because do I have the ruthlessness to be a cutthroat titan? I could. Would I be happy? No. Would I be more financially successful? Yeah. But would I be happy? Would I be effective? No. So everybody, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Do you really want to be the person out in front, Martin Luther King, and everybody dissecting every little bit of your life? Right. Do you really want that? Are you really built for that? Probably not. So find the happiness, find the value in where you are in life. And if that's all you ever are, be fine with that.
Embrace it. Yep. And when you embrace it, that'll open up doors. Yep.
You said, I think you used the term choose to be you, right?
True. To thine own self be true. Yeah.
Yes. Love yourself. And I think, again, to me, and I could be so wrong, but it's how I feel, my spiritual journey has taught me to love myself, to choose me.
Yes.
I'm in the same way you feel, when it comes to being a leader or a follower. I'd much rather be the follower. That's my choice, though, because I feel like I can support people. I feel like I'm a better support than out there. There's people out there who's got, and I've seen it, they're geniuses when it comes to figuring out things and planning things, And I love to work with people who know what they're doing, supervisors who actually know. I mean, I thrive in that environment, but I also support them too. And I give my loyalty to them. Right. So spirituality has taught me to be that way, though. Religion didn't, though. Religion taught me to condemn, to judge. Growing up, I wanted to walk on water like the Bible said people did. I wanted to be the guy who raised people from the dead, and did all these magical things, because I thought that was power. And I thought religion would give me that power if I obeyed what the Bible said and believed in God with all my heart. Hey, let me tell you something. I ain't walked on water yet. But I did see somebody get rose from the dead, though. I did see that, though. Seriously.
It's very capable.
I'm not lying about that. I actually did see that.
We're capable of far more than we think in the spiritual realm of, because, space is made of what's in our bodies, and so there's no way that the tide can move oceans, but it has nothing to do with me personally. Yes. Like, come on, we're all interconnected, and what's in me is what's out there, and what's out there is in me. So when it comes to life, death, those things,
it go hand in hand.
It goes hand in hand.
I believe that strongly. And past lives and the fact that we are spirits having a human experience, of course, deja vu, that could be a past life
A past
situation
experience, yeah.
where you actually did meet them in another life, and this life they're just different characters. So it's all about your belief in spirituality and how connected, like they always say in spirituality, on Twitter or these social media platforms, they say the veil is thin, and it very much is, and it's different with different transits and full moons, new moons, all the cycles of the planet. So it's all about connection.
It's
And
all about connection. Well, I want to thank both of you guys for being on the podcast today. I think we had a really good time, a really good conversation. Cara is so knowledgeable, and Lawrence, you're so knowledgeable. So you guys, I think that I'd like to maybe continue this conversation with another podcast too, because I want to get into the area of astrology, which we didn't get into. I want to talk a little bit about that. You know, pretty much, you know a lot about that stuff, right?
yeah, I know some things. Yes.
Yeah. And I've been reading.
Some.
Oh, you know,
Yeah,
some.
well, yeah.
I've been reading, but I'm still a novice when it comes to it. And it's not that I don't think that it's real, because I can see for example, the way they describe cancers. That is me to the T. And I've had friends, guy friends, we both agree that is us to the T, you know. And then when I see the female cancer, and I've met female cancers, that is them to the T. So there's got to be something to it,
What
right?
made me really look into it is when my youngest, his due date was my dad's birthday. And it just hit me. I'm like, if he comes out like your dad, you know. And he is. And so
Wow.
that made me be able to connect with him at a young age of, I know my dad. I know how he is, how to communicate with him, this and that. And it's made a connection to my youngest, because I could use what I've learned my entire life about how to communicate with my father and use that to communicate better with my son. Yeah. And that is where it all just shifted for me. Like, no, there's stuff to this.
So in Africa, they do believe that children are born are sometimes the reincarnation of a grandparent. They actually believe that, you know. And so that's kind of amazing, man. I'm loving this. Cara, gotta have you back. We gotta talk about astrology, because it gets deep. And karma. I think karma is the wheel of life. And I don't know too much about it, but I do believe I've lived before. And I think that's the whole concept of eternity. But once again, guys, listen, SkoCity PodCast. I'm your boy, GodSon, BTA Rennie. Been through it all. Thanks again. Have a great day, and see you when we see you.